In a busy city full of noise, traffic, bright lights and tall buildings, there lived a young girl named Emma. Emma was 16 years old. She lived with her parents in a small apartment near the center of the city. Every morning, loud car horns and crowded streets filled the air before sunrise. People rushed everywhere. Some hurried toward offices. Some waited for buses. Others stared silently at their phones while walking quickly through the busy sidewalks. Emma watched this same scene every day from her bedroom window. Although the city looked exciting from the outside, Emma often felt lonely inside. Her life seemed normal. She attended school regularly. She had decent clothes. She owned a smartphone. She had classmates and a few friends. But deep inside, Emma felt something missing. Every morning, the first thing she did after waking up was check social media. She scrolled through endless pictures and videos, beautiful vacations, expensive restaurants, perfect faces, luxury houses, happy couples, successful students. Slowly, Emma began comparing herself to everyone she saw online. She felt that other people lived happier and more exciting lives. Whenever she looked in the mirror, she noticed flaws. Whenever she received good grades, she still felt unsatisfied. Whenever something positive happened, the feeling disappeared quickly. At school, Emma rarely smiled anymore. Her best friend Mia noticed the change. "You seem tired lately," Mia said one afternoon. Emma forced a small smile. "I'm fine." But she was not fine. At night, Emma often stayed awake thinking, why was everyone else happier? Why did her own life feel empty? One evening during dinner, Emma barely touched her food. Her mother looked concerned. "Are you feeling sick?" she asked. Emma shook her head. "I'm just tired." Her father looked at her carefully. "You spend too much time worrying," he said gently. Emma sighed. "You don't understand." Then she stood up quietly and returned to her room. Inside her bedroom, Emma sat beside the window while rain slowly tapped against the glass. She opened social media again. More smiling faces, more perfect lives, more reasons to feel unhappy. Without realizing it, Emma began believing that happiness belonged only to other people. Weeks passed. Emma became quieter. She stopped enjoying hobbies she once loved. She no longer painted pictures. She rarely played music. Even spending time with friends felt exhausting. One Saturday afternoon, Emma decided to walk alone through the city park. The weather was cool and peaceful. Children laughed while playing near a fountain. Old couples walked slowly beside flower gardens. Street musicians played soft music nearby. Emma sat alone on a wooden bench and stared sadly at her phone. An elderly woman sitting nearby noticed her expression. "Are you all right?" the woman asked kindly. Emma quickly locked her phone. "I'm fine," she answered automatically. The woman smiled softly. People who are truly fine usually smile more. Emma looked surprised. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the woman asked gently, "Why do you look so unhappy?" Emma hesitated. Finally, she whispered, "I feel like everyone else is happier than me." The old woman nodded slowly. "That feeling is becoming very common these days." Emma looked confused. The woman pointed toward Emma's phone. "You are comparing your real life to other people's best moments." Emma stayed silent. The woman continued, "Most people only share beautiful moments online. They hide pain, fear, loneliness, and struggles." Emma listened carefully. For the first time in a long while, someone seemed to understand her feelings. Nearby, a little boy laughed happily while chasing pigeons. The old woman smiled while watching him. "Do you think happiness comes from expensive things?" she asked. Emma thought quietly, "Maybe sometimes." The woman shook her head gently. "Happiness usually hides inside small moments people forget to notice." Before leaving, the woman opened her bag and removed a small notebook. She handed it to Emma. "Every night," she said softly, "write down 3 things that made you thankful during the day." Emma looked puzzled. "That's all?" The woman smiled. "Small habits can change lives." Then she slowly walked away. Emma stared at the notebook silently. That night before sleeping, she opened it. At first, she could not think of anything. Finally, she wrote, "My mother made my favorite dinner. Mia made me laugh today. The sunset looked beautiful this evening." The next night, she wrote 3 more things. Then again the following night. Days slowly turned into weeks. Something inside Emma slowly began changing. For the first time in many months, she started noticing small, beautiful moments. She noticed birds singing outside her window in the morning. She noticed how warmly her father smiled when she laughed. She noticed how peaceful rain sounded at night. She noticed flowers growing beside sidewalks she passed every day without seeing. Gradually, Emma spent less time online. Instead, she began reading books again. She started painting small pictures in the evenings. Sometimes she walked through the park while listening to calming music. Her mind slowly became quieter. One afternoon at school, Mia looked surprised. "You seem different lately," she said. Emma smiled naturally. "I think I finally understand something." "What?" Mia asked. Emma looked toward the bright sky outside the classroom window. "Happiness is not something you find online," she said softly. "It's something you create in your daily life." Mia smiled. "That sounds wise." Emma laughed quietly. "An old woman in the park taught me." As months passed, Emma continued changing. She still experienced difficult days. Sometimes she still compared herself to others. Sometimes sadness returned unexpectedly. But now she understood something important. Feelings could change, and happiness was not perfection. One evening, Emma visited the same park again, hoping to see the elderly woman. She searched every bench carefully. Finally, she found her sitting quietly beside the fountain. The woman smiled immediately. "You look brighter now." Emma sat beside her happily. "I wanted to thank you." The woman looked curious. "For what?" Emma held up the small notebook. "This changed my life." The woman laughed softly. "No, you changed your own life. The notebook only helped you notice what already existed." Emma thought deeply about those words. For the next hour, they talked peacefully. The woman shared stories about her younger years. She explained how she once chased success, money, and perfection too. "But eventually," she said, "I realized life moves very quickly. If we are always searching for bigger things, we forget to enjoy small moments." Emma listened carefully. The woman continued, "Most happiness is quiet. It lives inside ordinary days." Those words stayed in Emma's heart. Soon, Emma developed healthier habits. Every morning, instead of immediately checking her phone, she opened her bedroom window and breathed fresh air. Sometimes she watched sunrise colors spread across the city sky. Sometimes she simply listened to morning sounds. At first, these moments felt strange, but gradually they became peaceful. Emma also began spending more time with her family. One evening, she helped her mother cook dinner. Her mother looked surprised. "You usually stay in your room," she said. Emma smiled. "I wanted to spend time with you." Her mother's eyes softened warmly. That night, the family laughed during dinner for the first time in months. Emma realized she had missed many beautiful moments while constantly comparing her life to others. At school, Emma started helping classmates more often. One shy student named Lily struggled with mathematics. Most students ignored her, but Emma offered to help after school. Every afternoon, they studied together in the library. Slowly, Lily's confidence improved. One day after receiving a good grade, Lily smiled brightly. "Thank you for helping me," she said. Emma suddenly felt deeply happy. Not because of attention, not because of social media, but because she helped someone. That evening, Emma wrote in her notebook, "I helped Lily today." Mom laughed during dinner. The night air feels peaceful. Months later, Emma's teacher announced a school photography competition. Students needed to capture images representing happiness. Most students planned dramatic photos, luxury cars, expensive restaurants, fashionable places. But Emma chose something simple. For several days, she walked around the city taking photographs quietly. A grandfather holding his granddaughter's hand, a street musician smiling while playing guitar, a mother hugging her child, rain falling gently beside glowing streetlights, friends laughing together at a bus stop. Emma realized happiness existed everywhere. People simply moved too quickly to notice it. When competition day arrived, students displayed their photos proudly. Many pictures looked beautiful. But Emma's collection felt different. Her photos captured ordinary moments filled with real emotion. The judges studied them carefully. Finally, Emma won first place. Her teacher smiled proudly. "Your photographs feel honest," she said. Emma smiled softly. "They are." After the competition, several students asked Emma why her pictures felt so emotional. Emma thought for a moment. Because happiness usually hides inside simple moments. Years slowly passed. Emma graduated from school and later studied psychology at university. She wanted to understand emotions, loneliness, and mental health more deeply. Many students around her struggled with the same feelings she once experienced. During university, Emma volunteered at counselling centres. She listened to students who felt anxious, lonely, or lost. Whenever someone said, "Everyone else seems happier than me," Emma understood immediately. One rainy afternoon, a university student sat crying quietly inside the counselling room. "I feel like my life is falling apart," the girl whispered. Emma listened patiently. Then she smiled gently. "Can I teach you something that once helped me?" The girl nodded. Emma removed a small notebook from her bag, the same notebook the old woman had once given her years earlier. "Every night," Emma said softly, "write down 3 things that made you thankful during the day." The girl looked uncertain. "That sounds too simple." Emma laughed quietly. "Sometimes simple things are powerful." Years later, Emma became a counsellor helping young people struggling with stress, comparison, loneliness, and sadness. She organised workshops teaching students about gratitude, mindfulness, and emotional health. Many people admired her calm and peaceful personality, but few knew how unhappy she once felt. One autumn evening, Emma visited the old city park again. The leaves glowed orange and gold beneath soft evening sunlight. She sat quietly on the same wooden bench where her life began changing years earlier. The elderly woman was no longer there. Emma never learned her name, but she never forgot her kindness. Emma opened her notebook slowly. Inside were years of thankful moments, small memories, simple joys, quiet victories, beautiful ordinary days. As Emma turned the pages, she smiled, because she finally understood something important. Happiness is not a perfect life. Happiness is learning to notice the beauty that already exists around us. The evening sky slowly darkened above the city. Streetlights began glowing softly. People continued rushing through busy sidewalks. Cars moved endlessly through crowded streets. But Emma sat peacefully on the bench, smiling quietly. For the first time in many years, she no longer felt behind anyone else. She no longer compared her life constantly. And she no longer searched for happiness in places where it could never truly be found. Because now she understood. The happiest people are not those with perfect lives. They are the people who appreciate simple moments with grateful hearts. One cold winter morning, Emma woke up earlier than usual. The city outside still looked sleepy. Soft fog covered the streets below her apartment window. For a few quiet moments, the world felt peaceful. Emma wrapped herself in a warm blanket and slowly opened her notebook again. She smiled while reading old pages filled with thankful memories. Some entries were simple. The smell of fresh coffee in the morning, a kind smile from a stranger, a quiet walk after rain. A warm conversation with her mother. Years earlier, Emma would have ignored these moments completely. Now they felt important. As she continued reading, she noticed something surprising. The happiest memories were never connected to expensive things. They were connected to people, to feelings, to peaceful moments, to love. That realization stayed in her mind all day. Later that afternoon, Emma visited a small cafe near the university. She often went there to study quietly. The cafe owner, a cheerful middle-aged man named Mr. Lewis, greeted her warmly every time she entered. "You look happier these days," he said while preparing coffee. Emma laughed softly. "People keep telling me that." Mr. Lewis smiled. "Maybe because happiness becomes visible." Emma sat beside the window and thought about his words. Outside, snow slowly began falling across the busy streets. People hurried past wearing heavy coats. Some looked stressed, some looked exhausted. Others stared silently at their phones while walking. Emma suddenly remembered herself from years earlier, always comparing, always worrying, always searching for happiness somewhere far away. But happiness had never been far away. She simply never noticed it. While studying, Emma noticed a young woman sitting alone at the next table. The woman looked anxious and upset. Her eyes were red as if she had been crying. For a moment, Emma hesitated. Then she gently asked, "Are you okay?" The woman looked embarrassed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm just having a difficult day." Emma nodded kindly. Sometimes a simple conversation can help. The woman slowly explained that she recently failed an important exam. She felt disappointed and hopeless. Emma listened carefully without interrupting. Then she smiled gently. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. The woman nodded. "A few years ago, I thought my life was falling apart too." The woman looked surprised. "You?" Emma laughed quietly. "Yes, I constantly compared myself to everyone else. I thought happiness belonged to other people." The woman stayed silent while listening. Emma continued, "But difficult feelings do not last forever. Small changes can slowly improve life." The woman looked thoughtful. Before leaving the cafe, Emma tore a small piece of paper from her notebook. On it she wrote, "Write down 3 good things every night." The woman read the sentence carefully. "That's all?" she asked softly. Emma smiled. "That's how my life started changing." The woman thanked her quietly before leaving. As Emma watched her disappear into the snowy streets, she felt warmth inside her heart. Helping others brought a different kind of happiness, a deeper kind. Weeks later, Emma became busier at university. Her counselling workshops grew more popular among students. Many young people attended because they struggled with stress, anxiety, loneliness, and pressure. During one workshop, Emma asked students a simple question. "When was the last time you enjoyed a moment without checking your phone?" The room became quiet. Most students could not answer immediately. Emma understood why. Modern life moved too fast. People rarely stop to breathe, notice beauty, or appreciate simple moments. Emma shared her own experiences honestly. She explained how social media once controlled her emotions, how comparison destroyed her confidence, how she believed happiness existed somewhere else. Students listened carefully. Some nodded silently. Others looked emotional. One student raised his hand nervously. "How do we stop comparing ourselves to others?" Emma thought carefully before answering. "You may never stop completely," she admitted honestly, "but you can learn to focus more on your own life instead of constantly watching everyone else." The student nodded thoughtfully. After the workshop ended, several students stayed behind to thank her. One girl said quietly, "Your words made me feel less alone." Emma smiled warmly. Years earlier, she needed someone to tell her the same thing. That evening, Emma walked home slowly through the city streets. Snowflakes drifted gently through the cold air. Streetlights reflected beautifully across wet sidewalks. Nearby, a street musician played soft violin music. People rushed past without noticing him. But Emma stopped and listened quietly for several minutes. The music sounded peaceful and emotional. When the song ended, Emma placed a small amount of money into his open case. The musician smiled gratefully. "Thank you for stopping," he said. Emma smiled back. "Thank you for playing." As she continued walking home, she realized something important again. Beautiful moments happen every day. Most people are simply too distracted to notice them. Later that night, Emma visited her parents. Her mother prepared warm soup while soft music played in the kitchen. Her father told funny stories from work. The apartment felt cozy and peaceful. During dinner, Emma suddenly looked around the table quietly. Years earlier, she often ignored these moments while staring at her phone. Now they felt precious. Her mother noticed her expression. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. Emma smiled softly. "I'm just feeling thankful." Her parents looked surprised. Then her father laughed warmly. "That's a beautiful thing to feel." After dinner, Emma returned to her room and opened her notebook once more. She slowly wrote, "The violin music on the street sounded beautiful. I helped someone at the cafe today. Dinner with my family felt peaceful." Then she paused. Below those sentences, she added another line. "Happiness was always around me. I just learned how to see it." Emma closed the notebook gently and looked outside her bedroom window. The city still looked busy. Cars still moved endlessly through crowded streets. People still rushed everywhere. But inside her heart, everything felt calmer now, because happiness had never been about living a perfect life. It was about appreciating ordinary moments before they disappear. Months slowly turned into years. Emma continued helping students, families, and young people who struggled with stress, sadness, and loneliness. Her workshops became very popular across the city. Schools invited her to speak to students. Universities asked her to organize mental health programs. Many people admired her calm voice and peaceful personality. But Emma never considered herself special. She simply shared lessons life had taught her slowly and painfully. One spring morning, Emma received an unexpected email. A large community center wanted her to lead a public seminar about happiness and emotional health. At first, Emma felt nervous. Hundreds of people would attend. Years earlier, the idea of speaking in front of a crowd would have terrified her, but now she wanted to help others the same way the elderly woman once helped her. On the evening of the seminar, the large hall filled quickly. Students, parents, office workers, teachers, even elderly people arrived carrying notebooks and coffee cups. Some looked curious. Some looked exhausted. Some looked quietly sad. Emma stood backstage taking a deep breath. Then she walked slowly onto the stage. The room became silent. For a moment, Emma remembered the lonely girl she once was, the girl who believed everyone else lived happier lives. Then she smiled gently and began speaking. "A few years ago," Emma said softly, "I believed happiness belonged to other people." The audience listened carefully. "I spent hours comparing myself to strangers online. I believed my life was not good enough." Several people nodded quietly. Emma continued, "But eventually I learned something important." She paused for a moment. "Happiness is not something we find after becoming perfect. It grows slowly when we begin appreciating ordinary moments." The room stayed completely silent. Emma shared stories from her life. The notebook, the old woman in the park, the small thankful moments, the beauty hidden inside normal days. Some people smiled while listening. Others quietly wiped tears from their eyes. At the end of the seminar, the audience applauded warmly. But one moment touched Emma deeply. A teenage girl approached her nervously afterward. The girl looked emotional. "I thought I was the only person who felt this way," she whispered. Emma smiled gently. "You are never alone." The girl hesitated before asking, "Do you really think life can get better?" Emma looked at her kindly. "Yes," she answered softly, "but sometimes improvement happens slowly. You must give yourself time." The girl smiled for the first time. Before leaving, Emma handed her a small notebook, just like the elderly woman once did for her. That night, Emma walked alone through the city streets, feeling emotional. The cool night air moved softly around her. Bright lights reflected across windows and sidewalks. People still rushed everywhere. Cars still filled the streets with noise. But now Emma saw the city differently. Years earlier, the city felt cold and lonely. Now it felt alive with small, beautiful moments. As Emma crossed a quiet street, she suddenly noticed an elderly woman sitting alone near a flower shop. For a brief second, Emma's heart raced. The woman looked very similar to the stranger from the park years ago. Emma slowly walked closer, but it was not the same person. Still, the elderly woman smiled kindly at her, and somehow that smile felt familiar. Emma smiled back warmly before continuing home. Late that evening, Emma opened the old notebook again. The pages were now filled with years of thankful memories, thousands of small moments, tiny pieces of happiness collected over time. Emma slowly turned each page carefully. Then she stopped at the very first entry. "My mother made my favorite dinner. Mia made me laugh today. The sunset looked beautiful this evening." Emma stared at those simple sentences for a long time. A small smile appeared on her face, because those simple moments had changed her entire life. Outside her window, rain began falling softly across the city, the same peaceful sound Emma learned to love years earlier. Emma closed the notebook gently and whispered quietly, "Thank you," not only to the old woman, not only to life, but also to herself, for surviving difficult days, for continuing forward, for learning how to see beauty again. The next morning, Emma woke up before sunrise. Golden morning light slowly entered her room. The city outside remained calm and quiet for a few precious moments. Emma opened her bedroom window and breathed deeply. Fresh air filled the room. Birds sang softly nearby. Far below, the city slowly began waking up again. People prepared for another busy day, another difficult day for some, another lonely day for others. Emma understood that now. Everyone carries invisible struggles. Everyone fights silent battles, and many people secretly search for happiness in the wrong places. That understanding made Emma kinder, more patient, more gentle with others, and more gentle with herself. Later that day, Emma visited the old city park again. Spring flowers covered the gardens beautifully. Children laughed near the fountain. Street musicians played peaceful songs. Old couples walked slowly together beneath the trees. Emma sat quietly on the same wooden bench where her journey first began. The sunlight felt warm against her face. For several minutes, she simply listened. The wind moving through trees, the fountain water flowing softly, the distant sound of laughter. Years earlier, she would have ignored these moments completely. Now they felt priceless. A little girl nearby chased pigeons happily across the grass. Her laughter filled the air. Emma smiled while watching her. Then she suddenly remembered something the old woman once said. Happiness usually hides inside small moments people forget to notice. Emma finally understood those words completely. Life would never become perfect. There would still be difficult days, moments of sadness, moments of fear, moments of loneliness. But happiness could exist beside those moments too. Because happiness was not the absence of problems. It was the ability to still notice beauty while living through life's imperfections. As the afternoon sunlight slowly faded across the park, Emma stood up peacefully. Before leaving, she looked one final time at the empty bench beside her. Then she smiled softly, because even though the old woman was gone, her kindness continued living inside Emma's heart. And now, Emma passed that kindness to others, one small moment at a time, one conversation at a time, one notebook at a time. That evening, Emma returned home and opened a brand new notebook. On the first page, she carefully wrote, "The girl who found happiness." Then below it, she added, "Happiness is not somewhere far away. Sometimes it is quietly waiting inside ordinary days." Emma closed the notebook gently. Outside, the city lights glowed beneath the peaceful night sky. And for the first time in her life, Emma truly felt happy. Not because her life became perfect, but because she finally learned how to appreciate it.